Okay, so I've just been seeing a little bit of this. So actually, I don't know what's actually happening, but I do kind of want to just say a couple words generally about how I think about VCs in general. I think VCs are akin to something like vampires, right? They have what appears to be this ultimate superpower in society. They're able to ascend various echelons and rings of power, and all they do is just suck the life out of everything at all times and just want to just strangle it. It's like they take a startup, which you could imagine is a bag of kittens, and they just put it into water because they're soulless. That's how I think of VCs. They are just some form of demons. If you don't believe in Satan and demons, I feel like VCs should help change your mind on that entire perception because they're absolutely wild. I don't know what's going on. So I've seen all these tweets be happening just recently. I saw like Theo tweeted something about like staying out of VC drama. Apparently this David Sachs fella is in for it. Apparently he's known for destroying companies. And then I saw this, and now, so we're going to kind of go through this, and we're going to see what happened. Apparently there's some political agendas with people looking all mean and serious. But I wanted to see this one first because this is kind of like the one that caught my eye, right? Which is this one, which is the next 4 months on Twitter are going to be insane. You were sanctioned. Let's see, hold on. Let's go right here. A Democrat propagandists that are talking about fake coup for over 3 years, and now they're frantic to deny the real one has occurred. President-elect Biden was in no danger of being deposed on January 6, 2021, but he is actually deposed as a Democratic Party nominee in July 21st. Let me tell you, coups are this man's specialty. If you were sanctioned by the SEC, nobody else, only you. But you've spent the last decade trying to shift the blame onto others for your own poor ethics. Do you really want to go full story of what you did to Parker to be told publicly? Paul Graham coming out. Like, look at this tail. This tail's twisting, okay? We got offshoots on Biden. I bet you Kamala's probably mentioned at some point. We got conspiracies. We got everything going in this drama, okay? This VC fight didn't just go crazy. Yes, and I'm also blocked by Paul Graham, so if you go to Twitter, Paul, you should unblock me. I'm a pretty funny fella, okay? I know you tweeted what is something 15 million people are using today, but 7 billion will be using tomorrow or something like that. And I said your mom, and you were talking about the internet, like what's the next greatest thing. Okay, I didn't realize you were going to block me. I thought it was a funny joke. Okay, your mom. Come on, what is this, Call of Duty Lab? Come on, you should know this by now. Twitter is effectively Call of Duty Lob. All right. Because it's the worst case of investor maltreating of a founder that I've ever heard, and I've heard practically all of them. That's kind of a wild statement, by the way, to say that this guy this David Sachs fella is literally the worst. Things are getting spicy. Obviously, I can't view this post if you can't look at it, Paul Graham. I was talking recently to another investor about whether you're the most evil person in Silicon Valley. Oh my gosh, demons calling demons evil. This is crazy. What is this? Is this like Lost season 7? Like, where are we at this point? Is this M. Night Shyamalan episode right now? He thought about it for a few seconds, and he agreed that he couldn't think of anyone worse. Not on track, getting unblocked with the demons mentioned. Okay, you got me on that one. You got me on that one. Oh my gosh, what is this? Is this just not just? I mean, these people are trying to like destroy themselves. All right, so let's do this. Okay, let's start with the big one. So this one I think is the big one in which is going to give you like the full story, hopefully. Let's see. I'm a fan of Parker and appreciate his disruption. It's not an episode of Silicon Valley without the word disruption, at least mentioned once, okay? At least mentioned one time. I'm a fan of Parker and appreciate his disruption in the benefits and HR space, especially for small businesses in spite of early rhetoric. Zenefits was not a SaaS company. They were a broker. They got paid by insurance companies, and they did not know how to broker benefits, nor did the young college graduates they hired. From what I've heard, they falsified license tests to get reps licensed in many states. Lying to get a license is a big issue. One would agree with said assessment there. In addition to this, there were many customer employees who clicked buttons to enroll in coverage and never got processed by Zenefits. I feel like I remember the term Zenefits, by the way. I can't remember what it was. Oh, I guess we should probably read the context tweet. 10 years ago, David Zacks participated in one of the ugliest founder coups ever, replacing Parker Conrad as CEO of Zenefits. I was close to Zenefits' team at the time, so I'm not a neutral observer, but I can describe how events were perceived at the time. So we could look at that in a second, but let's do this one first. Imagine hundreds of thousands of employees and their families not having health insurance. In essence, this was fraud. Get a company to make you their broker, promise coverage and service, and then not deliver. How is that manageable? No, it's actually unacceptable. And still, out comes the true business model, Rippling, which is a phenomenal product and company. Rippling may have been Zenefits' ultimate goal, but shedding the move fast and break things methods of Zenefits to start a new world-class product in Rippling seems like a great outcome for everyone. Zenefits sold their brokerage off to real brokers who barely manages their small group of accounts. Many of them left, and I'd imagine that book of business has shrunk quite a bit in the past 8 years. All in all, Parker has a wonderful redemption story. Okay, so after this ousting, that's what happened. So this must be this David Sachs. Okay, so this must be what we're talking about here, is this David Sachs person is known for coups. And by the way, I would like to say something about this. I am now in the know on multiple CEOs who have brought in investment. And then when they bring in investment, the VCs, I kid you not, I've seen this happen. The VCs will go to them and be like, hey, you know what? I think this C-suite person, probably not right for the job. You know what I mean? Like really just not that right for the job. I'm telling you a real story, by the way. And then they go to that person and then they go tell them, the CEO's not really that right for the job. You know what I mean? Just between us, not really that right. And then they go to all the other people and they just create this web of lies. And what they're actually doing is creating a coup so that they can get the board to fire the CEO. They bring in their person, they fire the rest, then they bring in more of their people and they effectively take over the company. The finesse is real, and I am completely convinced that so many VCs, I'm sure there's a good VC, right? I know of one that I really think is respectable, Ian Roundtree. I've known him for a long time. In fact, he was my first ever guest on a podcast. He came on and played Fortnite with me. Beastco will attest to it. We played Fortnite and talked about VC stuff. He's great. I actually always thought he was a very nice guy. The long con, absolutely the long con. But the rest, don't trust at all, right? They can really be messed up. Some VCs are good, but the majority isn't. Yeah, you didn't play well. You didn't really play. Well, you should have added the word well, because I did play, just not well. Let's see. I'm very surprised when Parker hired David. My co-founder described it as hiring a lion, having him sit next to you, and hoping he doesn't eat you. This was before any of the ugliness happened. Okay, so this David fella is not looking good based on the stories. And it seems pretty crazy how many people are coming out and saying how bad this David guy is. I was extremely surprised when Parker was pushed out. From the outside, the compliance issues seemed manageable. I still think it was a fig leaf for another motive. The worst part of the story to me was that David walked away from the company 10 months later. The idea that he was an interim CEO is a retcon. There is no new CEO when he left. Lastly, I cannot overstate the significance from PG. He knows more dark startup stories than any person living. I just don't know how you come back from this as an investor. So this would be that status we looked at with him saying that he is literally the worst person. So this is happening in the VC space. I'm just not convinced VC is very great. I think that people often take money too quick. And when they take money, they get these people on the board that know a lot about business. They know a lot of great things. They can really help you with a lot of stuff, but they also completely can take advantage of you. And I've watched so many people's stuff get destroyed due to VCs. Now, the flip side of the story is I also know a couple companies that have taken VC money, had a good experience, and they were able to actually build a business that is very successful. I don't know stuff about private equity. I don't know what you mean by this statement. I know private equity as in equity in a private company, but I assume that's not what you're talking about. I assume this must be more. There must be more, and I must be not understand that. Without VC, only rich people would start companies. Exactly. So this is why I say it's a really hard line to actually draw here. Having the ability to raise money and to start a company not on your dime, I do understand why this is beneficial. There's a lot of companies that would not be here without that. Private equity after my old startup. Dang. Like the one, did you do that? Private or Levels IO talks a lot about it. Really? Okay. Private equity firms or families that invest. Yeah. If you take VC money, go to old startups and talk to them first. That's actually a really good idea, by the way, is if you're going to take money from some large firm, go to a bunch of it. Just go into massive debt. Bro, just go into massive debt. Obviously, I mean, that's the reason why you don't want to do it, right? This is why VC and VC money exists, is because this is not necessarily a great outcome. Because, like even Pirate Software earlier was talking about risk. And the problem is that there is risk in not taking money if you are going into debt. At that point, if you aren't able to actually build the thing without going full-time, you're not able to go full-time because you can't go into debt. You're kind of in this like problem where you have to decide like debt bad. Yeah, debt bad, especially, well, it's unprotected debt. It's not like you bought a house that you're renting that, yeah, sometimes you don't have a renter and then you have to pay the mortgage and that sucks. But then after that, it rents and it makes a little bit of money. You're like, yay, I got to make an extra $300 a month or $500 or whatever, whatever the money is, right? That's good debt, typically. This is just like you take a risk and you may not have any more. Just live open source forever. Yeah. Let's see, but then you have cases like leverage buyout. They will just sell sold assets and lay off in many cases. Yeah, I mean, I know that's the hard part about all of this. And so let's read this one. Okay. So rich coming from a guy who speaks to founders like this. We have a mobile app that lets people link their finance accounts and helps them save time and money through automation workflows we made. Would you be open to chatting about our idea next week? I can email you the deck. We don't invest in illiterate founders. Sorry. I mean, to be fair, bro's not even using punctuation, right? Where's your capital letter and your period, right? Like, it's pretty hard to stand on a high horse when you yourself don't even do anything. No caps, bro. Venture capital. Yeah, this is wild. Let's see. I'm glad that finally David Sachs is getting the treatment he deserves. The pot calling the kettle black. Oh, whoa. Okay, so David Sachs didn't say this. This Ihar guy at Geek Adventures said this. Oh, dang. Dude, I swear they're all assholes. Like, what is this? You go off and you're calling out this fella and you talk to people like this? What is, I swear there's this thing that's been happening for the last so long, and I don't want to blame Twitter, but I'm going to blame Twitter. You know that thing you do where you're like, I refuse to be that trope and just be the guy that's always like, it's the social media. But I think it's actually the social media that you could actually stand up. And when you see somebody who's doing something worse than you think people think of you, you jump on it and you go out and you say it. You're like, oh, that David Sachs fella, you know what? I think I think he's an asshole. I swear, virtue signaling is just the worst. And I've heard so many stories about this exact thing, which is that companies will get these VCs and they think, I'm going to be doing this bastion of education and pursuit and technical analysis of companies and all this. And what they discover is they're all cowards with money trying to be like the next virtue signaling asshole. And this just looks, I mean, I don't know how else you take this other than this looks like virtue signaling assholery. Using someone who's getting dunked on as a means to look better while you communicate like this. Real ridiculousness. So there you go. This is the world of VC. I hope everybody realizes that when you raise money, you get to choose. Do you want David Sachs or Paul Graham? Who do you want? In this example, look at them go. Wow, crazy. I'm really curious what is going to be the actual outcome of this. I'm very curious. Ooh, look at this. We have a response. Oh, the next four. Oh, we got a response. Let's go. First of all, I've never met you or had any dealings with you, and you weren't involved in the events that you're purporting to know something about, so your antipathy towards me is strange. I heard firsthand from an impeccable source that in the wake of the Gaza debate, you tried to get some Jewish VCs fired from prominent firms, which at minimum makes you a bully and maybe something much worse. Damn. This guy is bringing out the guns, coming right back at him. If people want to know what actually happened almost a decade ago, they are free to read the public documents produced by the SEC and other legal authorities. They conducted a thorough investigation using legal powers of discovery and interviewing witnesses under oath, which is a very different matter than people just asserting their viewpoint on X or a podcast. I'm not saying it's racism, but I'm saying racism? Damn, Gaza getting dragged in the VC. Dude, Gaza getting dragged in the VC drama. Here we go. Personally, I think it's a huge waste of time to still be talking about this a decade later. The only reason we're even having this exchange is because your guy keeps publicly fuming and smearing me, and now you're doing it too. Finally, you threatened to release the full story, which you've somehow concocted without ever talking to me. In fact, Parker has already told his story in detail on your podcast and in your forums, and you've been bashing me for years. These types of threats are just more of the bullying behavior for which you're known. So you know what? After reading this, honestly, I started this thinking this was just going to be a dunk on David Sachs, and now I can't tell who the bad guy is. Are they both just bad guys arguing? They all are, all of them, the whole lot of them. Like I don't even know what is even happening at this point. Who's Moggs? They're not even the 1%. First off. Typically, VCs of this level aren't the 1%, okay? They're like the 0.01%, okay? Both. They're just being toxic on the internet instead of having their issues directly. Yeah. I would say the biggest takeaway here is if you have a problem with somebody, I think it's really good to go to them directly. And then if you can't do something about it directly, you just don't talk to them anymore. I would not air your laundry out on Twitter, right? Like, do you really want Twitter to see the brown streaks in your underwear? Like, that's what's happening right now. Nobody looks good after this. This only reinforces my already low opinion that it's nothing but lizard people. The internet as a whole, yes. Those skid marks just indicate how fast I work. These investments are made. I don't have time. I don't have time for life's little pleasantries, such as wiping. I gotta go fast. Dang. Okay. Well, hopefully everybody feels like they understand a little bit more. Latin America telenovelas ain't got nothing on VC Silicon Drama Valley. Let's go. That's pretty good. Let's see. VC Twitter this week has been like walking advertisement for self-funding. Lots of people out there you don't ever want to be in the same room with, let alone on your cap table. Maybe the best differentiator is just being a decent human. It looks like this guy is also some sort of VC himself and saying, you know what, this makes everything look horrible. That's a good W. I don't know what MCJ Collective is, but hey, there we go. At least you're not claiming to be. At least you're going, yeah, this sucks for everybody. Let's go. Good job, Jason. All right. I'm just happy I'm not a VC person right now. You know what? It makes me feel good. Okay, I don't have to worry about it. You know why? Because think about if you had a bunch of companies you're investing into and you're having all these pressures from outside investors and these people are having millions of dollars and just trying to pressure you nonstop. So you have to you've put yourself into an asshole position where now you are the asshole as well as being the stomping grounds for somebody else. And it's just like shit rolling downhill nonstop from people at the top being shitty to people in the middle being shitty to people actually making something getting shit on, and then the CEO's all frustrated, goes home, kicks their dog, yells at their wife, and then tells all their employees to work deep into the evening because it just keeps on rolling downhill, just nonstop. And this is why everybody's unhappy in the Silicon Valley. Everyone's changing the world for the better, yet nobody there is all that happy. They all think things are going too fast, working too hard, work-life balance is is all out of it, and man, they're just losing their minds. I wonder why. It's almost like you've set up a bad system. Again.